Hello and welcome back, Modern Skeps fam, for another episode of To Whom It May Concern. I'm your host, Mariam, here with my co-hosts, Sinara and Huayla.
Hey, Assalamu alaikum.
Today's episode is going to work a little bit differently because we have situations that were sent in and we selected a couple so we can give our advice on it based off of our different careers and our places in life currently. Hopefully the ones that we've selected are super relatable to everybody. So we're just going to dive right in. The first one is, I am confused and unmotivated. I'm in my final year of college and I've worked all the way up until this point, knowing what I wanted to do with my life. Now, as I'm about to graduate, I realized that I don't want to pursue that. And I basically lie to myself that I'm happy. I have no clue what to do. I don't want to disappoint my family. I'm not in a good place and I feel very lost. I don't want to wake up 30 years from now and think about everything that I did wrong. I'm at max stress capacity. Do you have any advice? So I feel like this is a position that a lot of us, girl, hi friend, this was me. I read it and I'm instantly like, I need to choose this one because it's super relatable. I feel like especially when you're in your last year of college, you kind of figure out that I don't have any more school to go. I have to look at my life and pick something. Do I go to grad school? Do I go get a job? At this point, what do I do?
So honestly, if you're deciding, if you've realized this the last year, I feel like you've been lying to yourself up until that point.
No, at least in my experience, when that happened to me, I wasn't lying myself up until that point. It's just, and I don't know if this happened with this person, but I've never had experience in the actual field up until my last year. And that's when I realized and woke up, wow, this field was completely different than what I had in my brain, what I illusioned it to be.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Usually the last 2 years is when you actually go into your studies in that area. Like the first 2 years, you're just doing gen eds, like your internship and all of that doesn't begin until you're like literally your last year. And that's when you're like, okay, maybe I don't really like this.
I feel like most people, at least it's medicine, you shadow before. You do all the things to prepare before your last year, before you realize, like you're literally about to start what you're doing your last year. And I feel like if you haven't decided this is what you want to do by that point, you maybe haven't done the necessary steps to figure out what you should be doing.
Not necessarily. I think you can have a change of heart. I think that happens. I think you're into something, you're going after it. And then I think maybe you have a certain experience that you go through, or you do get you do start shadowing and then you realize, man, this isn't for me, but I've gone this far. What do I do now? Like you feel stuck.
And you definitely feel like you don't want to disappoint anyone else at that point. We're just like, everyone believes I'm going to do this. Maybe if I change my mind, people won't be happy with me. It does add to the pressure. Although I don't think my advice is don't make that your central decision on how you make a life worth of a decision based off of what you believe other people want you to do.
I think it'll be more of a disappointment if you end up not pursuing something that you want and you don't do anything. That's the disappointment. It's not like, oh, you're supposed to be a doctor, you're supposed to go into medicine, and then you end up becoming a teacher or a lawyer or something else. It's not like, oh, she didn't do anything or he didn't do anything with his life. So I don't think the focus should be on what other people want you to do. The focus should just be on developing yourself and you figuring out who you are, what you want to do.
Yeah, I think it might be difficult to do that at first, like really sit down with yourself and try to figure out what route to take, and then realizing, oh my God, there's gonna be so many people disappointed in me. But I feel like that's worth it. And honestly, one, you'll probably be surprised how people respond. But two, I think that challenge and that like stress or that struggle in the meantime is worth it than the long run when you actually just follow what people say and then are still regretful and we're like, I wish I just would have gone through and done whatever I'm passionate about, because here I am regretful 30 years later.
Well, I mean, this person says they're lost, so I'm not sure if they know if they're passionate about anything. I think they need to do what you guys said, is slow down, take a second and figure out what they are passionate about or what they do like. Because I feel like someone always has an inclination towards what they like, but they're just might be hesitant to pursue it for some reason.
Okay, so there are some people that do have something that they like and should pursue. There's also a group of people who aren't really passionate about anything one specific, at least when it comes to maybe career, school, jobs. Like maybe they're passionate about other things in life, but when it comes to something along those lines, they're not. And my advice for those people is, let's say if you're lost and you're not passionate about anything, your job and your education isn't who, like, it doesn't have to define all of you. It doesn't have to define who you are. So if you need an income, which most people do, just have a job just for a job and let it be that. Like, do what you need to do. I swear, no, like, if I'm not passionate, I don't think your job should be something I'm passionate about. Like, if you have that luxury, sure. If you know what you want, go for it, go full force. But if you're lost, you're not passionate about anything, I think you should have a job just for an income, just to keep your life stable, steady, kind of maybe get you more experiences, more networking, get you out there. And eventually, inshallah, you'll find something that you're passionate about. If not, just let it be your 9-to-5 job and have a life outside of work. It doesn't have to be your only thing that you care about.
So what you're saying, like, if you feel stuck and confused, at least go towards something until you figure it out. Don't just like stay in that state.
Like, your first job is not your last job. Just get your feet going, get more experiences. Maybe one job will lead to the next, will lead you to meeting someone, and then you'll actually end up finding the dream job that you wanted, or the career you're passionate about.
Do you think nowadays society is kind of pushing, like, you have to go after your passion and what you love, and if it's not that, then quit? Because I feel like now younger people, it's so hard to keep them at a job, because as soon as they're no longer interested, there's such a high turnover rate because people are just like quitting.
There's too much emphasis on work, on jobs. It's like, okay, maybe you don't like your job, but like, okay, it allows you to put food on the table for the people you do care about, for the things you do care about.
I agree.
Again,
some people are in the situation where they need a job and they have people that are relying on their income, and of course they should take their responsibilities first. But if you're not in that situation, I'm going to push back a little and say, I feel like people should find enjoyment in their workplace. I don't think that it's something that people just go strictly, like, I don't think we're all so compartmentalized that we just have work as work and home as home, and that's where I'm going to find my joy. You need to find some semblance of joy at work, especially since you're there. So much out of your week, out of your waking hours is spent there. I think you need to find joy in that aspect. It can't be something that's completely miserable to you.
No, I'm not saying you should be miserable in it, but I think finding an enjoyable job is a process, and it's not instantaneous. You don't like your job in the beginning, work towards something that you do. You shouldn't just, again, if you have the luxury of finding it right away, go for it. If you don't, I don't think you should sit around, and I'm assuming you're saying if you're not in that predicament where you need to get money. So what, you're living off of other people just because, let's say your dad, like, I don't think that's healthy either, just to be living.
Or maybe you have a part-time job somewhere that's having you have an income. Maybe you have a part-time job somewhere, who knows.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's not like the career that you want though at the time.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. Just do something to get you out there, to get you just somewhere, just to give you, because when you have a job, you're more stable, your mind is you're more focused, you have your day is more scheduled, you're not just doing nothing.
No, I do agree with you should do something. But also, I think we live in such a fast-paced society where it feels like you need to have a plan all the time. And feeling like you need to have a plan all the time, I think puts more worry and stress on people. And sometimes maybe it's okay to pump the brakes for like a week or 2 weeks and really sit down, be introspective with yourself, do your research on all the careers out there, something that may be a good fit for you, and then pick something, but not to constantly feel like you're in a race. Or I'm going to say, this is my advice. I'm going to give a solid piece of advice. Don't look too far into the future. Take it 1 week at a time, 1 day at a time. Because I feel when you put yourself and you think 20 years from now, or you mentioned 30 years from now, thinking that far ahead, you're never going to be able to plan that far ahead. 90% of the things that you plan that far ahead aren't going to go through. You need to just relax for a second, take a deep breath, and give yourself that space to think and ground yourself so you're not so worried about the future.
Yeah, I like that, Mariam. I think taking the time to really think about what you want to do while not really feel like, while removing the thoughts and the pressures of other people, to be like, okay, what do I want? What are my strengths? What am I passionate about? Let's forget about salary. Let's forget about what everybody wants me to do. Like, what is it that I want? And then really take the time to figure that out. And then moving forward, I think that's also healthy. But I think you should set a deadline for that.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, because then you could just continue to be pushing that off, or you might delay that. So I think you should set a time.
1 week leads to 1 month leads to 1 year.
Yeah. I think you need to be like, okay, after this amount of time, this is when I'm going to finally decide on something. And if I don't decide on something, then I will continue to follow my career path that I chose for myself previously, whatever the case may be.
Do you guys think, so I've heard comments on this before. Do you girls think that it's too young to be asking high schoolers and early 20-year-olds to be making these life-changing decisions?
No.
I agree with you, Yunara, but
like, at what point are you going to ask me when I'm 50? Like, I feel like it's normal for our passions and interests to change. Like, it's only a part of, the more you learn about something, the more you have knowledge about something, your passion and interest will change. But I feel like you need to decide sometime. Like, how much more can you possibly go without knowing what you want to do?
No, I agree, but also disagree. Here I am on my disagreement line. Because of the fact, I think that we have such a financial structured educational system institution where to be asked something at such a young age that will likely cause you to be in debt for a really long time of your life, especially if you want to change. That's a big, it's not just, oh, I'm going to do this and then, oh, I want to change. No, you're financially invested in that decision that you made when you were 18 years old.
Not really.
30 or 40.
You're not really stuck. There's so many different options.
I know you're not stuck, but in the sense where you don't feel
things.
like you can just quit it simply because
of finance,
you made the wrong decision.
That's like when you get into your like mid-20s, 30s, that's graduate school. Undergrad, you
No,
can get
people
away.
get in so much financial debt from undergrad.
Okay, you can get away with not having that debt in undergrad though. But if you decide to go to fancy schools without scholarships or without financial aid,
No, you would be surprised. There's a lot more. I mean, there are, but a lot of people do accumulate a lot of debt going into undergraduate school.
Okay, but so you think because of the financial burden that school has on us, we should decide when we're 25 to 30 and not
Oh, I think school
15
should be
to
free.
20.
And then make decisions. That's what I think. I think school should be free and we should invest in our people.
That's a different topic.
But
that's not the current situation.
I do think though, I feel like we should stop babying ourselves. Like high schoolers, you should start to act like an adult. Even like American society is like, oh, they're only in high school, let them make all the mistakes in the world. I don't like that mentality. Like this is the time where you shape who you are and where it really does affect you the rest of your life.
Yeah. I think high school needs to do a better job at exposing students to the fields that are out there. You know, one day of career day isn't enough. I think actually having high schoolers have internships, have experience in different fields that they're interested in, assess their strengths, tell them what they're possibly, really good at according to their personalities, like really invest in the students and their abilities. I think that needs to change within like the high school systems. So that way, when you are deciding to do something, you are more passionate, it is more aligned with your strengths, it is more aligned with your personality, and it is of interest because you've also seen what the field looks like. So I feel like we just need to do that earlier on.
I agree. I don't think it should be to the extent of having them go to internships like you do in college. Maybe just shadowing and being exposed to different fields, but along those same lines.
Okay, so next situation.
Good luck.
Yes, good luck on your situation, and I hope you find a compass to give you some direction. Okay, next situation. I have a father who refuses to take care of his health. He has obesity, which is causing his diabetes and heart problems. It upsets me because these things are preventable, and I want him to live a long life with us and also improve the quality of life that he is currently living. It hurts me even more because it feels like he just doesn't care about enough about us to make a change for the better. Do you have any advice on what I should do to improve his health or to get through to him?
That's a little harsh. He doesn't care about us.
I think that's tough. It's a tough situation because it's obviously someone that you love and you want to see them care for themselves. But I feel like at the end of the day, you have to realize you can't control somebody else's behavior. You could only kind of support them, help advise them to do the right thing, but you can't control what the other person does as much as you want to. It's just the reality of life. Like, you won't be able to.
That
And
goes with anything in life though. Like you
yeah,
can
that's the thing.
advise all you want, but you're in the end, the person's actions are their own choice.
Yeah, it's hard.
Really interesting, because us as humans, we're like, we know you're making wrong decisions. We want you to make the right ones. Why can't you just do exactly what I say and how I say it?
Because what's
And-
right for one person isn't right for the other. I mean, obviously, someone living a healthy lifestyle, most people would agree that's the right way to live.
Mhm.
But the amount of difficulty it is to live that lifestyle, there's so many people out there that aren't living that
Mhm.
style, so it's much easier to be relatable or understandable to that situation.
Yeah. I would say try to meet the person where they're at. If they're still not willing to change and not recognizing that it's a problem, I think you need to start with that. Like, talking to them and trying to see where they're at with their current situation. And then if they notice, and then if you get them to the point where they think, okay, this is a problem, I do need to make life changes. And then you meet them there. And then you slowly progress to the point where they're actually making full-on changes within their diet or their health thing. But to automatically assume that they're going to jump and like be perfect and like how they take care of their health. Because I mean, this has accumulated over time. You're talking about obesity and diabetes. Like, these are big habits that need to be changed. So it's not going to be that easy, and it's not going to change overnight. So I don't think.
Interesting when they said the sentence, I feel like he doesn't care about us enough to change.
Mm,
Because I feel like a lot of people think that in a situation where a health issue is preventable, or they feel like it can be completely preventable, that the person just doesn't care enough to change. You're not trying hard enough. And that might not be the case. They may love you so much and exceptionally, they just form these habits that take a long time to break, and they're hard. They're very difficult to break. So it's not that they don't love you enough. It's maybe they just need to shift a different mindset. And sometimes I know some people work with tough love. Like, I feel like there's two different types of people. Some people need the tough love to wake them out and get them out of it, and other people need the soft, gentle hand where you yourself start making changes within the household, or start doing simple things like, hey dad, I want to go walk outside, do you want come walk with me? And then implementing those things so they could form healthier habits.
I was just about to say that, Mariam. Allah says that he doesn't change the people until you change yourself. And everyone knows, like, if you want someone to do something, like, you have to do it first. So if you're eating whatever you want and having an unhealthy lifestyle, the people around you are going to be doing the same thing. And whenever, because this is always an issue with a lot of my patients, so whenever we talk about having those lifestyle issues, the best thing is to have an entire family do it together. So it's the entire family cutting out junk food. It's the entire family eating healthier and exercising. And them encouraging each other is the best way to actually have those outcomes.
And it is harder when you're the child, I guess, trying to influence changes in your parents, but it's still possible. Like, maybe if you, I don't know actually what age you are, but if you go grocery shopping, you personally pick out things and then that's what you present to your family, or maybe you take that responsibility onto yourself so that you can get better things, or just keep like the junk food out, or make them go on a diet, but like trickily, like you're the one cooking, so they're gonna eat this food regardless. And that's a lot more easier said than done, but to hopefully make long lasting change, hopefully that will work.
It's probably better to hit it in different directions. So, like, yeah, do like small changes with not going out to eat as much, but then also you should scare them, like show them what someone with obesity and diabetes ends up like what happens down the line. Most of the time, I always scare my patients that have uncontrolled diabetes and saying, like, you're gonna get amputations, like your foot is gonna get cut off. Or like,
but I feel like that only works for like maybe a week. Like, I feel like that doesn't work in the long run for a lot of people.
No, I think if you hit it from multiple angles and you just like consistently do that, maybe it'll work together. It's like you give them some like soft love, tough love, scare them, do it all
of it.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, pray, also make that they want to change themselves, because I think that would be the easiest course, is to hopefully want that person from internally have the desire to be better and be healthier and deal with everything that they're going through, inshallah. So diet, let's never forget diet to get you out of situations. Okay, third situation. I recently got a job offer from a company. Oh, congratulations. This is my first job offer out of grad school. For reference, I've been applying around for a really long time and I haven't been getting any opportunities. The reason why I'm hesitant to take this job is because they offered me a really low salary, and that was after a lot of negotiations. They essentially said this is the max amount we're willing to pay for this position. The salary is so much lower than the standard for this position in the job market, and I'm not too crazy about the company. Should I keep it, or should I take it or keep applying to other places?
Saying that she tried to apply to different jobs and she still hasn't.
Like, she hasn't heard back from anybody. This is the first one she heard back from.
Okay, so I mean, if this is only the first one and she's still trying, then I don't think you should settle for less.
They said, this is my first job offer yet. For reference, I've been applying around for a long time and haven't been getting any opportunities.
Oh, a long time. Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's where the exact wording was.
Yeah, sometimes you need to start off in a position you're not crazy about with a low salary, and then you'll slowly build yourself up and you'll get better opportunities. And I think it goes back to also say, like, what is your current financial situation? Can you continue to push it off without it harming your, paying for rent, food, or whatever, like taking care of your necessities? Because if you're going to keep waiting and then you're not able to provide for yourself, then that's a problem. And if this is a job offer, you might have to kind of take it, even if you don't. But it could be temporary. You don't have to think like I'm stuck in this job forever. Like, you could always leave once you get a better offer.
I feel like in society, we're convinced that if we start a job, that's where we're going to be for at least 20 years.
No,
You
most
could
people
leave.
don't think like that. Most people, especially
How many people think like that?
people that work in companies, especially millennials, max 5 years and they're on to the next job.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, this job shouldn't be looked at as this is the job, my dream job. This should be looked at, it's just something to add on the CV, something to network with other people.
And just because you accept this job doesn't mean you don't have to apply to other jobs while you're there. And in the meantime, it would probably look really bad if you started there for a month and then accept another place, but that's okay. Because
everyone looks out for themselves. Everyone looks out for themselves.
And then that's when you could be like, listen, I'm getting a better offer. Can you match it? If if they see that you're a really good worker 3 months in, like, wow, we really like her work. She's valuable. She brings a lot to the workplace, and then they'd be willing to match it. Or you could tell them, I'm sorry, I got a better offer and I'm leaving.
Yeah,
but it is really hard when you're like, man, my worth is so much more. And I'm settling.
And don't look at it as your worth. Don't look at it as this is my job that I'm going to be stuck in forever. This is a tool that you're using to get to where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
If she just started, I don't know, I keep saying she, I don't know if she or he, but if this person started out like just applying a month in, like early on, I'd say, okay, don't settle for less, like keep going. But if it's been that long, I would say take what you got and work with it. Mm-hmm. When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade.
I mean, worst case scenario, this gives you really good experience. It's better than you waiting around and not getting paid for anything.
Yeah, exactly.
But you have to remember to keep that motivation to continue applying. I feel like a lot of people get sidetracked with, I'm in a job right now, and they get so overwhelmed with the job that they're in that they just are like, okay, I'm here. I'm here now. I'm comfortable now. And they'll just accept where they're at. So you need to keep that same mindset of continuing to strive and knowing that you should get paid a lot more for this job. So keep applying around. And I really like what Inada said. Say, hey, can you match this? Like, you see my worth now. I've proven it to you. Match it or not. I'm going to leave. At least you gave them an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Next situation. The next two, I think, are about friends. So the next situation, I have a friend that I've known for 15 years now. And I feel like I'm the one who's constantly reaching out and constantly giving. Every time I mention this to her, she uses the excuse that she's an introvert. I've tried to sweep it under the rug, but it's really, really upsetting me. What should I do?
Sure.
The introvert comment.
Honestly, that's something I could relate to. But here's the thing, as an introvert, I was like, I could get sometimes you want to be alone and stuff, but it doesn't mean you have to like not put in some effort or like that's a valid excuse. Introvert just means like you need some time alone, but it's like 15 years and like
If you're always
You're always
alone,
needing to be by yourself. I just think you're not priority to her. And if she's
I
not
think
time for you, then
it also depends on, like, is this girl hanging out with other people and just not her? Is she
Oh.
reaching out to other people and not her?
because sometimes you need to get a clue.
Or
Like-
maybe it is. I feel like a lot of people genuinely enjoy being by themselves. Like,
Like,
as an introvert person, I'm not an introvert, but I do genuinely like being by myself. Sometimes I take myself out. Oh my God.
Oh, your personalities.
Personality. So I like going out by myself. But anyway, in the sense where even if you do genuinely enjoy being by yourself, realizing that if you constantly brought it up as an issue, as my friend, if I see that you have an issue, then I should try and fix it, right? Even if not that it's a detriment to me, but if I know you want me to put in a little more work, I say, I see that, so I'm going to do that. Even if sometimes I don't want to hang out, if you need my presence there, then I will put in the effort to be there. And that's just me being a friend and putting in effort. And it may not be, it may be a little be emotionally draining to you, but friendship just isn't about you.
I think any relationship just isn't about you. And the point, if you're not, every relationship requires effort. And if a
And
person,
compromise.
yeah, so if you are putting in and the person isn't reciprocating, especially after you've had multiple conversations with them, I don't know, I feel like it's not worth that. Really, that relationship isn't really worth it.
But it is a lot of time to be friends with somebody.
So then, was it always like this? Did it switch? I don't know. Like, did something happen?
I think those are important questions. Like maybe the introvert is an excuse, but maybe there's some underlining thing that person is going through themselves that at the moment they just don't have the mental capacity to really like hang out. You know, is she going through depression? What is her like relationship like with maybe with like a spouse or like a child, whatever the case may be. So like sometimes you have to like look at what the person may be going through or experiencing before
Also, like,
they're just kind of blowing you off, you know?
also, have you tried multiple times in the past week or multiple times, months, years? Because that's different.
Yeah.
Like, someone can be going through something for a couple weeks or months, but if it's been a while, like months to years, where they're constantly blowing you off, then that's different.
Yeah. And you should know if this is like a long, like if you've been friends for 15 years, I feel like you should kind of know how the person is. And so like if they're saying they're an introvert as an excuse, like you could, I'm pretty sure, tell at this point what your friend really means, if she is really like this and therefore why she's behaving.
Sometimes people change. I think people's personalities change.
Not drastically like that.
Yeah, people
Maybe
always
not drastically, but I feel like they do. And maybe especially if they're going through something. I think one, give 70 excuses to people. Not for the other person, but for yourself. It makes you feel better when you give another person 70 excuses instead of like reaching for, oh, they're just blowing me off or they don't care for me as a friend.
Yeah.
Give people the opportunity.
But sometimes you do need to consider that. And I'm not saying
I
that.
know what goes into my next piece of advice, which is then reassess your friendship. You know how this person is, you know what they're acting like. Position yourself then and make that person not as little as important to you, but realize that if you want to keep this friend in your life, this is how it's going to be, type of situation. Like, I don't think you should delude yourself in thinking that after 15 years, this characteristic is going to change.
Yeah.
I feel like the fact that they've been friends for a while means that you should put in more effort. But if you've already done that, I'm assuming you've exhausted all efforts, then it's like you should treat people how they treat you. If they're not willing to put in time, why are you going to put time?
And that necessarily doesn't have to come with evil feelings or intention. That just could come with, listen, I see they're not putting effort, so I'm not going to put as much effort in as well. Not with rude intentions or with the intention of them blowing off, but just I have now seen where I'm at, and I've seen the point of where I could be, like in standing.
That happens all the
Enjoy
time.
that person's company, though. If you enjoy that person's company and you want to keep being their friend, then keep reaching out.
I feel like that happens all the time, though. There's so many times where you look back and it's like nothing bad has happened. There wasn't a falling out. It was just like you guys moved on and you're doing different things in life.
Yeah.
Which is natural. So I don't think you should make that such a negative thing in your life or be like dwell over it.
Mhm.
I mean, it happens.
I
It
guess
happens when
it's-
two people were very, very close, and now another person just is put into different situations in their life that takes up a lot of their time, and the other person's still in the same place. Like, for instance, I am, still an undergrad student or something, and then the person that was my best friend has now just got a recently like full-time job that takes up so much of their time, so they can't hang out with me or communicate with me the way that they were. And now we have, unsimilar interests. The communication gets less and less, and now you just kind of grow apart.
Yeah.
And at one point, I bet you the friend that was in undergrad does feel like they're constantly reaching out to this person and trying to hang out, does feel like they're constantly putting and giving more than they're receiving. And then they slowly, I feel like that's the initial stage of the fade out.
Yeah.
That's more what
But
this
then
is going through right now.
Most of the time, yeah, it's most of the time you mold yourself into the surroundings you're in. So like whether it comes to like job, family, that those are big things. And if you guys are friends because of situational things, like you guys live next to each other and now you don't live next to each other anymore, you went to school with each other, now you don't go to school with each other anymore, like that's gonna impact the relationship a lot.
Mhm.
And when that does, I feel like it's a hard realization for a lot of people. And it is super sad and upsetting. It completely 100% validate your feelings that losing a friend or feeling like you're constantly giving in a relationship hurts because you want the person that you like hanging out with to like to hang out with you as well. You want it to be reciprocated. But sometimes these things in life happen, and they're a normal part of living.
Growing up.
Growing up. It stinks, honestly. Like when you realize, like, have you ever looked at someone and you're like, man, I've known you for like 20 plus years, but we've only talked to each other when we were in school. Outside of school, I have nothing to say to you.
But you have your school friends, you have your work friends, you have your friends that you don't see at work or school. Like there's different relationships. And I honestly feel like when it comes to best friends and really, really close friends, you can only have one, max two. You cannot have that many good friends.
Yeah.
I mean, you could.
No.
Yeah. You have like 5. I'll cap it at 5.
Nope.
That is
anytime there's that many people, even if it's like a group of 3, there's always 2 that are closer. There's always smaller groups within the group. That's how it always is.
Yeah.
And there's nothing
Not a
wrong
bad
with
thing.
it.
Yeah.
That's just how it is what it is.
It is what it is. Next situation. I have a friend that constantly takes things from my hands and feels disregarding when I give my opinions. She doesn't say anything negative outright that's offensive or should hurt my feelings, but it just feels that she's being extremely dismissive. She's really starting to annoy me. Am I just being petty?
Wait, I don't get that. She takes things from your hand.
I don't know.
Like I'm holding like my phone and she takes it. I'm holding.
Maybe I'm holding a cup of water and she takes it.
And she's dismissive?
It's not really like.
Yes. Maybe like, how people are dismissive, not in their words that they say, but like in the tone of voice or like maybe body language.
Passively
Passively dismissive.
I don't think that's right. That's so wrong. If anything, it's those little actions that it's those little actions that are more important.
I think sometimes you need to think, okay, if this person's acting this way and it's a shift in behavior, they're typically not like this towards you. You need to take a step back to be like, okay, what happened differently that might have started this certain behavior where they're becoming more dismissive and they're acting a certain way. And then if you're noticing this behavior change, then you have to have a conversation with that individual, like, hey, like I've noticed this. And of course you approach them in a way that is appropriate and like with a certain tone, so you could work it through. So maybe like that person isn't very confrontational, kind of is conflict avoidant. So by you bringing it up, it might give them a platform to really share and express like what went wrong or what happened. Maybe it's something that you did that made them react this way towards you. That's one way that this could have like gone. Or 2, it could be where they're not really realizing what they're doing and you need to bring it to their attention. Like, hey, I'm realizing that you're treating me this way. Like, is everything okay? Or can you please stop? I don't like when you do this. So sometimes it's actually just like letting them know how they're behaving and acting so that they could change that and give them opportunity to fix it.
It's always
Yeah.
a little harder when it's not the words that people are saying that's
Mhm.
bad, but it's like the tone of voice or the body language. Like when you're talking to them, they're on their phone, or when you're talking to them, they're looking at somewhere else, like not really paying attention or being attentive.
Oh, that's easy.
No,
Those
you
are-
can't be like, I feel like you're being dismissive because you're not looking at me. Like you
Yeah.
just you
Yeah,
feel
that-
kind of silly saying that out loud.
You don't have to say that. You could be like, hey, I have something to tell you. Can you please look at me as I'm talking to you? Tell them the behavior you want to see.
Oh, that's a good one.
that is-
Like you haven't been doing this. Don't do that. No, don't do what I just told you not to do. That was
Yeah.
confusing. Do what you
Instead,
know I told you.
say what you want them to do.
Yeah.
Don't be, like
Not what you don't
highlighting
want
the
them
next. Yeah. Just tell them what you want.
And that way it's a better conversation.
I feel
Yeah.
like this is a husband and wife relationship.
Yeah.
I feel like you're not giving me the attention I want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or no, being so completely passive aggressive towards somebody. It's
It's
so
funny.
annoying. I can't
I feel like I do that.
aggressiveness.
I do that with people I'm close to. But I actively know I'm doing it, and I'm doing it purposely to make a point. I don't think I do it not knowingly or do it all the time to be annoying. Like,
Which would emphasize Hinata's point is maybe they're just not confrontational, and you would, by addressing it, give them a platform, which is also annoying because I'm the type of person where it's just like, you have a problem, just say the problem, let's move on in life.
Mhm.
Not that I have to give you a platform for you to feel comfortable and then we could discuss.
Yeah, but people
How
work
much
differently.
effort.
Yeah, it is a lot more effort, but people work
I
differently.
feel like that's just a fancy way of saying have a nice discussion.
Have
Good.
a nice discussion.
Yes,
That's all it is.
exactly.
I don't think it's petty though.
I don't think it's petty either. It's if it bothers you, okay, maybe think, am I being a little sensitive?
Mm.
Is it,
Yeah.
am I, take a step back and look at you first. Am I being a little sensitive, or was that really what it was? Because if it was really dismissive, then you should say something. But if it was like there's 400 people in the room and you were upset that they weren't just paying attention solely to you, maybe that's a little bit you. But if you're noticing constant behavior, then it's not you being petty by saying something that bothers you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Or if they're busy doing something and they don't drop everything and give you the attention,
Yeah.
that's also like give them some space.
Yeah.
Don't belittle your own emotions too, because you matter. On that note, these are some of the ones that we picked. We felt like they were the most relatable in a sense where more people are probably feeling like this out there in the world. We definitely have been in places in our life where we've been through these same situations. We questioned, we needed the opinions and advice of others to help us clarify, what we should do, get our thoughts in order. Thank you for listening to another episode of To Whom It May Concern. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Please continue to send us emails. We love to read them and get to know you guys and talk to you guys. Sincerely, the Modern Skeptics. P.S. You've got this.